To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering. All things are subject to interpretation. Whichever interpretation prevails at a given time is a function of power and not truth. A pair of powerful spectacles has sometimes sufficed to cure a person in love. It is impossible to suffer without making someone pay for it. Every complaint already contains revenge. In every real man, a child is hidden that wants to play. The man of knowledge must be able not only to love his enemies, but also to hate his friends. You have your way, I have my way. As for the right way, the correct way, and the only way, it does not exist. There is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. A casual stroll through the lunatic asylum shows that faith does not prove anything. There is more wisdom in your body than in your deepest philosophy. Perhaps I know best why it is man alone who laughs. He alone suffers so deeply that he had to invent laughter. Hope in reality is the worst of all evils because it prolongs the torments of man. It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. Those who cannot understand how to put their thoughts on ice should not enter into the heat of debate. We love life not because we are used to living, but because we are used to living. Thoughts are the shadows of our feelings, always darker, emptier, and simpler. Many are stubborn in pursuit of the path they have chosen, few in pursuit of the goal. He who would learn to fly one day must first learn to stand and walk and run and climb and dance. One cannot fly into flying. Madness is rare in individuals, but in groups, parties, nations, and ages, it is the rule. Insanity in individuals is something rare, but in groups, parties, nations, and epochs, it is the rule. The most common lie is that which one lies to himself. Lying to others is relatively an exception. One has to pay dearly for immortality. One has to die several times while one is still alive. Mystical explanations are thought to be deep. The truth is that they are not even shallow. We often refuse to accept an idea merely because the tone of voice in which it has been expressed is unsympathetic to us. One ought to hold on to one's heart. For it, one let it go. One soon loses control of the head too. It is not when truth is dirty, but when it is shallow, that the lover of knowledge is reluctant to step into its waters. The demand to be loved is the greatest of all arrogant presumptions. What can everyone do? Praise and blame. This is human virtue. This is human madness. The world itself is the will to power, and nothing else. And you yourself are the will to power, and nothing else. This is the hardest of all, to close the open hand out of love and keep modest as a giver. What really raises one's indignation against suffering is not suffering intrinsically, but the senselessness of suffering. It is my ambition to say in 10 sentences what others say in a whole book.